Hello and welcome. In the spirit of my brand new book, The Delicate Art of Transformation, I've been on a quest for truth. What does it actually take to create real, lasting transformation? And here you are on the precipice of something big. I don't think that's a coincidence that we should ignore. Welcome, my friend. Welcome to the True Transformation Summit. This is where true growth and transformation happens because sometimes it's about your mindset. You're working on your thoughts and your beliefs. Sometimes it's about connecting deeper with your body. Sometimes it's stepping into success and rewiring yourself for wealth. And sometimes it's a spiritual one. But when the right person says the right thing at the right time and it all clicks, those are the moments that make all the difference. And that is what this summit is here for. You're going to hear from some incredible experts who every single one I personally invited to be here because each of them have made an impact in my life. So listen with an open heart, do what they say, take what resonates, try the practices, get their free gifts, and let this space be the place where you find your next step. My name is Talia Joy. I'm your host. And if you want all the free gifts, the resources, and the only place where you can be entered for prizes, you can join the Insider Circle for free below. All right, without further ado, take a deep breath in. Think about what you are transforming, what you are here for. And let's dive into today's episode. Hello, Chelsey. Welcome to the True Transformation Summit. I am so excited you're here. How are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm having an awesome day. I'm so excited to be here and dive in and learn more about all these wonderful folks in the summit.
Yeah, this is going to be, this topic today that we're talking about is so needed. I'm so happy you're here. Oh, I just can't wait to hear everything that you're going to share about this. And the way that you share it is so unique as well, that it's not just that one size fits all. So thank you so much. And before we dive into all that yummy stuff, if there's anyone here that is new to your work, could you just start by introducing yourself, letting us know who you are and a little bit about your business?
Sure. Thank you. So my name is Chelsey Newmeyer, and I'm a time management and productivity coach, but I actually really don't like that title anymore because I feel like exactly what you said, my work is so much bigger than that now. So I'm workshopping new titles if anyone has any ideas. But this business was built on exactly that. It was built on me always being a time management productivity nerd, right? Definitely that type A girl, like doing all the extra credit, checking off all the lists, doing everything right. And I was reading a book about time management and productivity written by a man, some big corporate office. And he talked about needing to take a nap in the middle of his day and having his assistant put together all the notes for all the meetings. And at the time I was working at a 9 to 5. And I thought to myself, who's going to tell my boss I need a couch in my office so I can take a nap in the middle of the day? Or like, what assistant? I don't have an assistant. I can't block off my calendar for 4 hours of deep work and tell my boss, don't call me, right? It just didn't make sense for my life. I also spent years trying to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to work out to no avail, right? I would be successful for 3 days. And then I would lay in bed and beat myself up and promise that tomorrow was going to be different. I was going to be a different, more disciplined person tomorrow. And then, of course, we all know how that goes, right? So I founded my business on the principle that productivity has to be personal. We have to take into account our real life, the things that we enjoy doing and how we enjoy doing them, what your energy looks like throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. And then more recently, incorporating things like astrology and human design to even more deeply personalize the way that you work. Because at the end of the day, we have to get stuff done. But doing our routines and building our habits in a way that we are obsessed with and the way that we love and are so excited about doing every day definitely makes it much more easier to stick with, but also more sustainable on a day-to-day basis and able to execute and reach our goals in a much more exciting way.
I love that because when we're looking at true transformation, there is that piece of habits and the moments that make up our day. And say we have goals, we want to feel healthier, we want to get things done in our business, whatever those goals are, there is a physical action that needs to be taken. And I love that you're talking about this. Why do you think people get overwhelmed? Because I know a lot of people in my community get overwhelmed when we think of, first of all, even the energy of like January 1st, I'm going to change all our habits, or just like, I want to get healthier, like, oh my gosh, or what it's going to take in a business. So why why do we feel like we're standing at the bottom of a hill sometimes and getting overwhelmed?
Yeah. So I think it's a few different thoughts on this. So I define productivity as working on the right thing at the right time to help you reach your goals. So the right thing is the task itself, right? Like, what is that very specific thing you have to do to get healthier, to make progress in your business, to make money, whatever it may be, right? The right task. The right time is when it aligns with your best time for focus, or is it something you can do with less focus? Are you someone with a cycle, a monthly, bleed, and so therefore you have to account for that energy shift? Are you so the right time of day, month, week? And then what's your ultimate goal, right? Like, we have to know what we're working towards, because without that goal, you're just going to end up being busy for the sake of being busy. So a lot of people get overwhelmed because they're not really clear on the goal and the why behind the goal. It's easy to say we want to get healthy. It's easy, you want to say you want to work out more. But what's the deeper why behind that? What's the true intention behind that? And when we think about it on a smaller level, right? Because picking out your big why for being healthy, right? Like, that's not a new concept. But when we think about the day-to-day of way this shows up, think about your morning routine, right? So many people struggle with being consistent with a morning routine, but that's likely because you're copy pasting routines that you see on Pinterest or on Instagram, and they're long, or like those get ready with me videos, and it's like an 8-step beauty routine. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? Like, you do you, girl. I love that. But if your intention is to just wake up feeling grounded and organized for the day, you probably don't need all those steps. And you can probably do it either before your kids wake up, or maybe you do it after daycare drop off, right? Like, we become so rigid in how we think about how things are supposed to look that we forget we have an opportunity to personalize it. We forget that we have an opportunity to set whatever intention we want behind that action. And sometimes my morning routine doesn't happen until lunchtime. And that's okay, right? Because my intention is that I take a moment to center myself, I get organized, and I track progress towards my goals. So I think the overwhelm comes from, again, not being super clear on what that goal is and what your intention is behind it.
I love that. Just even hearing you could possibly be overwhelmed because you forgot that you can personalize it. I feel like there's like thousands of people right now going, because I could love yoga, but I don't love that one press play video that's going to blah, 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 but I feel like I should do it. It's like, why do we have to put it into a box, or, like you said, copy paste it from somebody else? And I love, what did you say? How did you define productivity? What is it? The right thing at the right time. What was that?
Yeah, working on the right thing at the right time to help you reach your goal.
That is so important, because, and you talked also about the why, because I noticed something like in my business, if I'm just generally trying to be successful, or say it was health, I'm generally trying to be healthy. It's a little bit like meh, like, what am I doing today? Like meh. But when I know I have a program launching in 2 weeks and today's the day to write the email to, it's incredible how much I get done, because I just know where to funnel my energy. Whereas when it's really vague, so just how you're speaking to, like, the right thing, the right time, and knowing kind of why you're doing it, whether it's business or it's health, it just really does feel like that comes in to create what we would call, say, motivation or something. And I'd love to hear you talk about that: motivation, discipline, these words that people feel like other people have that, I don't have that. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that from your lens.
Sure. Oh, these are such big topics, and I feel like discipline has almost become like a bad word to some extent, because everybody wants more of it, right? And then like I said, when I told my story of how I started my business, I spent so many years thinking that, going to bed every night, thinking tomorrow I'm going to be more disciplined. Tomorrow I'm going to stick with it, and beating myself up if I couldn't do it, right? Like, I was a failure. I was the problem if I didn't wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden change all of my life, right? Like, that's just not realistic. Although it's so frustrating, and I am such an impatient person that, of course, I want to reach my goals tomorrow, right? I want to put one foot in front of the other, and all of a sudden I'm there. Like, that's just how my brain works. So part of it is just slowing down and, realizing it is just going to take more time. As annoying as that is, as frustrating as it is, it's just sometimes going to take longer than we expect or want it to, I would say. But discipline is that more like sustained approach to it. And we can build that in by becoming obsessed with the work that we're doing, or the thing that we're doing. I like to think about using writing as an example. I was a runner for a very, very long time. I've gotten out of the habit, but I'm getting back into it. And when I think about how I apply discipline to running, it was because I was so excited about it. I was so obsessed with it. I listened to the podcast. I got into running groups. I would tell anybody and everybody I could about the long run I did this weekend. I would find ways to have fun with it by taking a photo every mile that I was running, right? Like I built it into my life in a way that felt really authentic. And so it didn't feel like I had to push through it. Whether some days were harder than others, of course. But then I wasn't relying on those blips of motivation, or it was who I was. It was just part of my identity. It was the thing that I was doing. And so when we can apply that to things like a health journey, or even your business, like getting so excited about the offer or the way that you're helping your clients, it makes that discipline not feel like a bad word, but feel like something you're just going to do it because you love to do it.
Yeah, you're right. Because there's a certain amount of, like I'll say things like you can't manifest with a lazy mind. And it's almost like you don't create change from the same place that you are right now. That's not a bad thing. I don't say lazy mind as in, to be condescending, but you're right. Like we do need to practice. And I've heard people say things like mental fitness, mental toughness, even resilience. Sometimes we do need to practice. Like this is hard to push through. Just like when you were running. Yeah, it's easy breezy as you're telling it. But there were some days where you're like, oh, I don't want to get up today, or I don't feel great. And, there's days where you go, no, come on, you're going to feel so much better. And you practice that resilience. So I love that you're talking to that through ground. It's not no discipline, but it's also not just muscle and discipline and force all the time. It's that in between place. So I love hearing you talk about that. And I'd love to hear also more into even like the astrology, the human design, how you were talking about, like we forget that we can make it personal. So let's kind of jam out about that. Like, how do we make it personal? How do we find something that works for us when we do have certain goals in our mind?
Yeah. So with astrology, where I start all of my clients, and there's obviously we could spend 3 hours talking about all the different language that is astrology. But really what you're going to need to know just to get yourself started is your sun sign, right? That's most people know that it's the dates in which you were born, your moon sign, and your rising sign. And so the moon and rising is what makes you a unique you. So we're in Aries season right now. Like you could be born today and you could be born tomorrow. It would still be in Aries. But what's going to make you different is that moon and rising sign. And that's dependent on where and when you were born, that specific time and place. So your sun sign is how you are like showing up in your world. It's your motivation. It's your life mission. It's that vibe. So many people resonate with it, right? It's the kind of what really shines light on you. Your moon sign is more internal. It's like how you like to rest, how you like to, how you feel restored, emotionally. And then your rising sign is, like your internal, it's how people see you, but it's a little bit more like internal. It adds some color to the sun sign piece of it. I always use myself as an example, right? I'm a Leo sun and Pisces moon and a Libra rising. So one fun thing about me is I love to experiment with productivity. That's something that I teach a lot of my clients too, right? Is we try different things and there's no right or wrong. We just got to try it out to see what we like. What time does work best for you to wake up? What sequence of events needs to happen afterwards, right? So I realized through my own experiments that while I cannot get up and run at 5 a.m., I can get up at 5 a.m., do some work, and then go for a run. As I was learning more about how to apply this to astrology, I realized that makes so much sense because Leos need to be seen. And so what I was doing, and they need to do something creative. So I was getting up and writing an email for my business first thing in the morning. And then I felt so energized and ready to roll. I was doing work that allowed me to be seen. I was doing something creative that was writing. I was like, of course that made more sense for me. Of course that was a better approach of how I used my time. Mm-hmm. I also was thinking about as a Pisces moon, what I need to actually feel refreshed is alone time. And I'm such an extrovert. I was never alone. I never wanted to be alone. And so like that Leo sun, I was like, look at me, like all in all the groups and all the places I could be. But once I started actually taking some time for myself to truly, to be alone, have that quiet thoughts, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. So some of it is recognizing you might already be doing things that make sense for you, right? Like you may have done this experiment and kind of backed into it yourself. But when we learn a little bit more about the way that we can really maximize, or maximize isn't quite the right word, but integrate these tips and tricks and these parts of our big three into our day-to-day routines, into how we're showing up, it could be like a game changer, right? It could be these simple little tweaks that make so much more sense. I realized too, as a Pisces, like water is so refreshing. I had a habit of taking a shower in the middle of the day once I started working from home. And I was like, oh, of course, that's where I get my best ideas. I actually have a shower notebook now, right? Like, so some of it is things that you're already doing, but sometimes it's about learning something new. And then for human design, human design really is about like the energy. That is really about that, like how you're going to find sustainability in your business. I'm a manifesting generator. And for years I felt so self-conscious because I thought I was being flaky. Right. But really, we're just multi-passionate people who are going to jump from task to task and leave a wake of, unfinished projects in our past. And once I gave myself permission, like, all right, we're selling a different offer today. We're going to try it out, see what sticks. It had so much more fun in my business too, because I didn't feel this pressure, like, nope, I have to sell this offer for the next 3 weeks and I can't change my mind. And, it just gave me that permission. Yeah, like I said, I love digging into this with clients because sometimes it's things that they're already doing that just reinforces it. But sometimes we can find those small shifts that make a really big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Because astrology and human design, it is who you are. Like you said, your birthplace, your birth time. It is so tailored that whether you choose to live your life by astrology or be obsessed with human design or not, there is a blueprint out there. And it shocks me how much. And realizing my human design literally changed my life. And of course, like anything, sometimes we tiptoe, we do a quiz. We're like, what does that mean? And then you read one thing and you're like, well, yeah, that's kind of me. But the more human design started coming to me and being a reflector and my energy, and, I was so intuitive, but I didn't understand why sometimes I would get this like amazing download and do something and it would fall flat right away. And I was realizing I wasn't percolating. I wasn't, pausing and going through like, this is the best idea. This is the worst idea. I'm never going to do this. I have to do this. Because by the time I come around that moon cycle, I will have a very centered understanding of if it's a good idea or not, or if it's something I'm passionate about or not. And sometimes that tripped me up because I was like, what the heck? Coming back to it is this is you. So when you're trying to create habits and routines in your life, it's so helpful to understand yourself, because something I'm hearing in your story is you can be compassionate to yourself, not just go, oh, I can never follow through on things. Oh, I always have all these unfinished. Sometimes there's a time and a place to go like, okay, I really need to finish. Like I took everything out of the kitchen drawers and I need to put it all back. But like you said, you're multi-passionate. Yeah. So when you can understand yourself, you can maybe take the pressure off. It sounds like what you're saying is just to understand yourself and create habits and all of that around honoring yourself, not fighting yourself. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes. I think you said it better than I did. And think about too, like as a reflector, you're going to be so much more aware of the environment that you're working. You're going to have to be so much more thoughtful about that and what type of work you need to get done and what's surrounding you in that moment. So whereas that's less impactful for me, right? I can kind of work anywhere. I'm not as sensitive to that. So yeah, it's all about compassion. It's all about just giving yourself permission to experiment. And it's not prescriptive. Like it's a blueprint, but it's not prescriptive either, right? Like there's definitely going to be things that may not resonate with you, and that's okay too, right? It's so layered, and I'm such a nerd for it. I love to learn more about my clients and get all into their whole birth chart so we can really see where we can make some shifts and help you understand even what your goals are at the end of the day, right? Like what are you actually working towards, and all the way back to that where we started with the why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that just because it's like some people are night owls, some people are morning owls, some people, I have clients who are like, oh my God, I was up till 3 a.m. writing some paper or proposal or so. And I'm like, oh my God, like past 7 p.m. I'm not good for that. I'm done by that point. But like you, I could get up at 6 a.m. and write something incredible or record or whatever it is. So just really understanding yourself, I think that is just so key. So other than hiring you, because I know we're going to have people that are like, okay, we need to decode the birth chart together. Chelsey, I need you. But where could we even start? And anything else you want to say about this as we're moving forward, as we're in transformation, where can we start? Because a lot of my people we do know our big three, or at least, of course, the one, or we could look it up. So where do we kind of start with this?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, learn, find out your big three at first, and then, any place where you can learn a little bit more about like the houses, right? Like there's 12 houses in your birth chart. So where does that fall in for you? Because that's also going to help amplify if you're in the house of career, right? And that's going to help you understand your motivation behind your work, or if it's more about relationships and family, right? So I think just having a kind of that very basic understanding, if you're just to get yourself started. And then I always recommend people experiment. If you've been trying the same thing for weeks or months and it's just not sticking, something feels uncomfortable about it, you're feeling that resistance, just try changing it up. Maybe instead of waking up and going for the run, you wake up and read and have your cup of coffee and give yourself a chance to wake up. Maybe like my sister is a Sagittarius, and they're the kind of person who like needs option A, B, C, D. And so one morning they're going to do D, one morning they're going to do A, one morning they're going to do C. All of the things are going to get done, but they need like a choose your own adventure every morning. So maybe you just need to set yourself up that way. Or if you're a Taurus, you're going to want to like snuggle up into that cozy blanket with your drink and, like listen to the birds for a little while before you dig into work. So experiment, play around with it, see what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what you can stick with. And then more than any of that, what are you excited about? Like I love doing, like my morning routine is this ugly pink binder behind me. It's not like a particularly sexy thing, but I'm so excited to do it every day that if I don't get to it in the morning because I have a 2-year-old and my morning's a shit show, then I can at least, get to it later in my day. And it's still incredibly valuable to me. Same thing with your evening routine, right? Experiment with when that happens, or how you're structuring your day, how your to-do list looks, what kind of music you're listening to, what environment are you working in, right? All of these things can be personalized and tailored. Even if you work in an office, most people have way more flexibility than they are led to believe.
Mm-hmm. And little things go a long way. I'll teach
Absolutely.
nervous system tools or dropping into your intuition tools and whatever. And it's insane how in 30 seconds you can shift your whole energy. You can take a breath. You could play a 5-minute track with your eyes closed at your desk on your coffee break. There's a lot of things that we can do with a short amount of time, like you said, within what you do. And I love that, because I'm getting, as you were talking just a second ago about maybe if you're a Taurus, you'd like this. Also, I want to know what Scorpios should do. But anyways, when I hear that, it makes me think so many of us are doing something like, I should meditate. And they almost rip the joy out of, say, meditation. So it's almost like I'm trying to explain what I'm feeling. It's like, oh, I should get up and like press play on this, but my son wakes me up, and like, oh, but then as soon as I know it, I can't do it. And it's not about doing the meditation. It's about habits and routines. It's like just what I'm hearing through your words is that support you. So with sitting in bed with a cup of coffee, if you can do that in your lifestyle for 10 minutes before you hit the day or hit your phone, would that support you? Would that set you up? As you're saying, would that feel good? And so I kind of just felt like I wanted to zoom in on that I think sometimes we're trying to do some other routine that someone else says we should do that's somehow perfect, but we don't even really want to do it. It's almost like learning a language you don't really want to learn, doing a sport you don't really want to do. Like you said already, are you going to do it? Are you going to stick to it? So curious your thoughts on that too. Like maybe we're just blindly picking things we should do, but not thinking about what would sustain me, what would support me, what would nourish me.
100%. And so much of my work is also recognizing that your level of productivity is not going to be the same every single day for a multitude of reasons. And that's okay, right? Like there is this expectation that like, all right, I'm going to wake up like every day is going to look exactly the same. And not only does that sound incredibly boring, but it's also not real, right? Especially if you have children, especially if you are, I work in a 9 to 5. You don't necessarily even have control over your full day, right? So, it depends on how you sleep or the weather outside. All of these things can impact our energy levels and our productivity. So what I like to do with clients is draft a good, better, best approach. So we have the best case scenario. You have that dream, and I always pick on morning routines, but obviously this applies. Routines are our whole life. So I pick on morning routines just because it's the most clear example. But you have that best case scenario morning routine, right? Like with the cozy blanket and your coffee, and you get to read for 30 minutes before your kid wakes up, and you watch the sunrise, and it's like, that's it, right? But then you also have
no parent ever. Sorry. Done by nobody ever. But anyways.
Exactly. But like, that's best case scenario. That's like the ultimate. But then you have the better routine, right? Where it's, you get your coffee and you sit in bed, and maybe you close your eyes and you take a couple of deep breaths, and that's all you have time for. Or you have best case scenario where maybe we skip the coffee and you just sit in bed, and before you put your feet on the ground, you take those deep breaths, right? Like, so it's a build up and then build down approach, so that doesn't become this all or nothing. It doesn't become like, oh, if I can't do it, if I can have that best case scenario, my kid is never going to wake up at the time I need them to. I'm why bother, right? Like instead of having that mindset, we can have, all right, I'm not going to get my coffee in bed today, but at least I took 3 nice deep grounding breaths before I put my feet on the ground, right? And that also, again, applies to how we're working out, how we're thinking about our day-to-day tasks, right? Like maybe I can't get the whole sales page done, but I can write the intro, or I can craft this part of it that is really meaningful and powerful. And then from there, I can build off all these other pieces of it.
Yeah. I love that good, better, best, I think is what you said. I love that system, because I just was scanning my mind. I'm like, yeah, I have like my best case scenario. I too have kids. The mornings are just crazy, but something I'll do, especially when it's particularly rushed, is like a few drops of lavender on a face cloth as just the tiniest little bit of sanity and calm and zen before I'm getting into like, nobody wants the breakfast I'm making, and, the chaos of siblings and whatever else happens in the morning. And, and that's the same for people that don't have kids. You're rushing out to work, you're waking up and immediately into your phone, reminded of a project you got to do. You're texting someone back. All of us are busy. Kids are not. It's crazy. So I just love to hear, as we start to wrap up, when it comes to making true transformation, when it comes to our habits, our productivity, the routines, what is left to say? What do you feel is either unsaid or makes all the difference, has made all the difference in your life?
Oh, big question. But I love this. My first gut response is that compassion piece, right? It's the willingness to experiment and recognize that you're not a failure just because someone else's routine doesn't work for you. And your level of productivity is not going to be the same every day. And that's okay. And it doesn't mean you didn't get anything done, right? Your worth is not tied to how many boxes you got checked off today, just period. So I think that would be like the biggest takeaway for all of this, right? Is what does productivity actually mean to you? What does success actually look like for you? Because, for me, for years, it was climbing that corporate ladder. And I remember the exact moment when I realized that wasn't it for me anymore. And as a type A girl, it sent me into a total spiral. But I realized that there's so much more to what success looks like for me on a day-to-day basis. So I think that'd be my message to everybody who's interested in learning more.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I really do believe that we make the greatest change, and we, are productive from the space of love way more than the drill sergeant and the should. And just because we have boxes on a dry erase board and blah, 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 and we think, Monday's coming, we're going to do it tomorrow. I don't think that stuff gets us there long term, at least not in my experience. But what you're talking to feels, it feels almost like delicious. Like I get to create this routine that, whether it's for my business so that I'm moving myself forward, or as we've talked about health, other things, it just feels like if I want to do it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to show up. And that ultimately is going to lead to that long-term success. And as you said, being self-compassionate with yourself. And it's so cool that you bring in that about learning more about your human design and your astrology. And is there something, I think we touched on it a little bit, but is there something that everybody listening could put into action today? Whatever you would recommend as kind of that first step?
I think an audit, right? Like go through your day, think about what lights you up? Like, what do you really love to do? What's easy for you to do? And what isn't going as well? What's causing some friction? Where are you finding resistance to completing the thing? And once we understand it, once you kind of start to see those patterns, give yourself a few days. Then you can start taking stock of, all right, what needs to change? Where can I start making those tweaks? Where can I dig into a little bit more into astrology or human design to help me understand myself better?
I love that. And do you have a free gift for our audience?
I do. I have a free private podcast called The Astrology of Getting Shit Done. So this is a few episodes that dive deeper into each of these topics. So we talk about how to use your moon to find a way to rest better, where your human design can play into your energy, like dip your toe into all of this stuff.
Oh, that's so exciting. Thank you so much. I'll put the link to that below. That sounds incredible. Thank you again, Chelsey. And where can we find you? How can we get into your world? Where do you hang out on social media?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Chelsey N Coaching. That's Chelsey with a Y. And then I have a podcast called The Cosmic Productivity Method. And so there I talk more about this stuff every day and kind of how we can apply it to different parts of our life. But I offer group coaching programs. I have a membership, one-on-one, lots of different ways that we can work together to personalize your productivity.
Oh, I love that. I will put everything below. Go find Chelsey. Also, let us know on Instagram. Let her know what you got out of this episode and let me know as well. We love to hear this and, what it inspired for you, and make sure to follow along on the journey. Thank you again, Chelsey. It's been such an honor. I appreciate this conversation so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Loved being here.